After the real young master of the Tang family returned, the entire world seemed to turn on me overnight. The true heir shattered the bones in both my hands, stealing from me the only thing I ever truly loved, my ability to play the piano. And the eldest Tang brother, the man who once treated me with warmth and affection, simply said, "Cold as winter, Makoto suffered for years. You only lost your hands. Think of it as paying back his pain." I spent everything, my youth, my heart, my future, helping my biological sister become a superstar. But in the end, she sneered at me. "You only tried so hard to please me so you could cut Makoto off. Someone like you could never be my brother." Then Makoto fell down a flight of stairs and pointed at me with trembling hands, accusing me of pushing him. And everyone believed him. Even my childhood fiancée, the girl I protected all my life, looked at me with disgust. "I didn't think you were so jealous," she whispered before ending our engagement. On the day she and Makoto got engaged, I sat behind the wheel, staring at the road ahead, and for a terrifying moment, I wondered if driving straight into their ceremony would end everything once and for all. But before the engine could roar, a woman ran in front of my car, wild and desperate, and dropped a basket at my feet. Inside was an abandoned baby girl. And while joyful music echoed from the Tang family's grand hall, I held that tiny child close and bought a one-way train ticket out of City A. From that day on, the fake young master of the Tang family disappeared, just like they always wanted. I moved far away to the southern market, raised that abandoned baby as my own, and cut all ties with my past. What I didn't expect was that 4 years later, they would come searching for me. 4 years later, I saw Sophia again at the kindergarten gate. I had just picked up Emma when a nearby mother whispered, "Emma's dad, that woman across the street. She looks just like that famous singer." I followed her gaze. Sophia, the woman clapped her hands. "Yes, that's her. Sophia." I looked away. "Don't know her." She blinked. "You don't listen to music?" "She's won every award these past few years. And honestly, she kind of looks like you." I smiled politely, squeezed Emma's hand, and kept walking. George Tang. A familiar voice sliced through the crowd. I ignored it. George Tang. Emma tugged my sleeve. "Daddy, is that lady calling you? Why is she calling you that name?" "She's mistaken," I said gently. But just as we reached our car, someone grabbed my arm. I turned, and there she was, Sophia, breathless, eyes red from running. "George, you're actually alive." After leaving Emma with the neighbors, I came downstairs and found Sophia looking around my building in disbelief. "You live in this place," she scoffed. "Where's your real home? Let me see it." "There's nothing to see," I said calmly. Back then, Makoto and I had been switched at birth. For 20 years, I lived a life meant for him, while he lived mine, struggling with poverty alongside my biological sister. And when the truth came out, Sophia was the one who stood before me and declared that the only brother she recognized was Makoto. She said pretending to be siblings with someone like me made her feel sick. After that, Diego Tang threw me out. Willow abandoned me. City A erased me. When I had nowhere left to go, I stood outside my biological sister's office on a snowy night until my body went numb. And all she gave me was one sentence. "If you had never been born, Makoto wouldn't have suffered. My biggest wish is that you didn't exist." Brother, what a cruel joke. Now she stared at Emma with that same judgment in her eyes. "That kid, where did she come from? Don't tell me you stole her." I exhaled slowly. "She's a child I adopted." Her lips twisted. "Why? Because Willow couldn't have kids? Are you really still trying to win her back? Still simping after all these years?" I cut her off. She is my daughter. I have no intention of returning to City A, nor do I care about competing with anyone for Willow. As you said, aside from blood, we're strangers. I'm not interested in your life. Don't interfere with mine." She fell silent. "If that's all," I said, "turn away. Please leave." "Wait." Her hand clamped onto my arm again. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, struggling with words that didn't seem to form. You, I frowned. "Just say it. What do you want? Why did you really leave back then she finally asked, her voice thin with confusion. You had everything: money, comfort, the Tang family name. Was it really worth running away just because a few people were cruel to you? Was that your idea of a tantrum? She stared at me, searching my face. If I hadn't run into you today, how long were you planning to keep living like this? And these passed for years. Her voice softened. How did you even survive? The corners of Sophia's eyes were red again, probably from anger or maybe from the shock of seeing me alive, because my existence threatened the perfect story the Tang family had built around Makoto. How did I survive? A life was lost to save mine, but there was no reason she needed to know that. The old me, George Tang, was a sheltered young master raised under the Tang family's roof. The man standing before her now, George Wong, owed nothing to anyone. My silence made her restless. What? Cat got your tongue? She scoffed. Don't tell me that massive earthquake in Southern Market rattled your brain. You chose a place like this. If you got caught in the quake, well, karma, right? Before I could reply, a neighbor walked by and waved. Hey, little Wong. Not cooking yet? I smiled back. About to. Sophia froze, completely still. You should go, I told her quietly, but she grabbed my arm again. You changed your last name. Wong? Whose name is that? It doesn't matter, I said, brushing her hand off. My name, my life, none of it has anything to do with you. Sophia was a public figure, a celebrity. She couldn't explode in the middle of a crowded street, no matter how badly she may have wanted to. I went upstairs, brought Emma home, and on the way up, I saw Sophia still standing at the bottom of the building, looking lost, unfamiliar with being ignored. For years ago, I had learned her dream of becoming a singer. Back then, despite her upbringing, she wanted to stand on a real stage. I used every resource I had in City A to make it happen. Even found the agency she's signed with now. She was my sister, and she had suffered enough. All I ever wanted was to give her something good in life. But she twisted that kindness into something ugly, accusing me of using her to isolate Makoto, to hurt him, to make him miserable. Daddy, was that lady your family? Emma asked softly. The question caught me off guard. Then I smiled and smoothed her hair. No, sweetheart. Why would you think that? I just guessed, she mumbled. You two looked a little alike. Family. A face flashed in my mind, Diego's. I used to believe that blood or not, Diego would always be my big brother. But 4 years ago, he stood by Makoto's side, his fist clenched, his eyes burning with anger. George, you disappointed me. From today onward, there is no place for you in the Tang family. You are not my brother. Makoto is. I remembered clinging to his pant leg, begging him to listen. He kicked me away. I have no family there, I told Emma gently. She looked down. I thought you had other relatives besides Uncle. I tapped her nose. Daddy has you. And your uncle. That's enough. But Uncle's gone, she whispered. I miss him. I understood. Losing someone hurts far worse than never having them. And I had lived through that pain once. I would never let my daughter suffer the same. What I didn't expect was that the very next day, I would see Diego again. Emma's fever spiked in the middle of the night. I rushed her to hospital. She needed treatment for a viral infection. I stayed up the entire night, watching over her, waiting for the fever to break. By sunrise, she was weak but stable. I carried her home on my back, stopping by a street vendor to buy meat and vegetables. After I paid, a slender hand reached forward and quietly took the bag from me. I froze. Through the morning mist stood Diego. My sleep-deprived brain reacted before I could think. Big brother. And then I remembered. He had stripped me of that right long ago. I swallowed. Mr. Tang. He looked at me with something complicated in his eyes, but before I could understand it, he said, "Let me carry this." No need. I tried to take the bag back, but my legs trembled, and Emma whimpered softly on my back. "Don't push yourself, George," he murmured, steadying me with a hand on my arm. "I'll take you in the child home." The Tang parents had died young. Back then, it was Diego who had practically raised me, and when he still saw me as his little brother, he treated me with a love no one else ever had. Once, someone had asked him if he was afraid I'd become spoiled from his protection. His answer had been simple. So what if he causes trouble? He's my little brother. If he brings the heavens down, I'll cover for him. But then Makoto returned and everything changed. At first, Diego still insisted that I would always be his brother too. But every time Makoto pushed me, mocked me, humiliated me, Diego would only sigh and tell me to endure it. He suffered a lot, George. Just give way to him. He said we owed Makoto compensation. And because he had been my big brother for over 20 years, because I wanted to make him happy, I gave way. Again, and again, and again, until the day he chose to believe Makoto's lies without hesitation. That was the moment I understood I had always seen him as my brother, but he no longer saw me as his. When he personally cast me out and turned me into the villain the whole city despised, I finally realized how foolish my loyalty had been. The ride was silent. It had been years since I'd sat in a luxury car like this Maybach, its leather seats feeling for and under me. I held Emma tighter, uneasy, wondering why Diego had really come. Did Sophia tell him where I lived? Was he here to make sure I wasn't a threat to Makoto? I couldn't tell. My head throbbed, and I pulled Emma close, completely unaware of the faint longing in his gaze. "George," he said quietly. I looked up. There were more lines around his eyes now, years etched into his face. "For years ago, we all thought you, I know." I cut in softly. "Thought I was dead." I took a breath. "If it makes things easier, you can keep thinking that. I've never wanted to fight Makoto for anything. Everything that belonged to him was always his. I'm not here to take anything back. You don't need to guard against me. And you definitely didn't need to travel all this way just to check." I met his eyes, steady and calm. "I only want a quiet life with my daughter. She's staying with me. She won't look for Willow. I swear on my life, I'll never use her to interfere with Makoto and Willow. You can rest easy." His expression faltered. "I wasn't," he began. "Then what?" I asked flatly. "You're afraid I'll use the Tang family name again?" "Don't worry, I won't. I gave it up years ago." "George," he cut in sharply. His eyes were red. I came here to bring you home." I couldn't understand him. For 4 years, I had been a ghost, banished, erased, disowned. He had been the one to make that announcement. So why would I go back? To become Makoto's punching bag again? And what was a man like him doing quietly following me into a 50-square-meter apartment? After settling Emma onto the bed, I went to the cabinet to make him tea, then realized he probably wouldn't drink something so cheap. After a moment of hesitation, I handed him a bottle of water instead. His eyes drifted to my right hand. His expression darkened. "Your fingers, are they any better?" I lowered my gaze. My right hand, 2 fingers, could no longer move. It had happened not long after Makoto returned to the Tang family. We were visiting one of the factories. Makoto was excitedly discussing a design with an engineer. To prove his point, he pressed the test activation button, and my hand happened to be inside the machine. Before that, I had been a rising piano prodigy. Piano was the only thing I'd ever been good at. The one thing that set me apart from Makoto. Whenever I practiced, he would sigh dramatically and say, "I've loved music since I was young. If I hadn't been switched, I'd probably play piano too." And then the accident happened, and my world collapsed. I had believed, truly believed, that he did it on purpose, that he wanted to take away the one light I had left. But after his suicide attempt, everything flipped. I became the villain. I still remember Diego coming back from the hospital, exhaustion weighing on him as he rubbed his forehead. "It's just your hand, George. Just 2 fingers. Did you really need to force him into something like that? Even if you're not useful, even if you're not my real brother, didn't I promise the Tang family would take care of you for life?" Sophia's voice had been colder still. "If we hadn't been switched, the one with talent would have been Makoto anyway. You're just giving back what wasn't yours to begin with. How can you still act like the victim?" They told me anger wouldn't fix my fingers, that I needed to accept it. But later, at Makoto's patent celebration, ironically for the invention, he designed using a machine that destroyed my hand. I overheard a doctor speaking to Diego. I told you then. If he'd gone abroad for rehabilitation right away, his hand could have recovered 90%. But it's too late now. And Diego had replied without a flicker of guilt. It's better if George doesn't play anymore. Makoto always wanted to learn piano. Seeing George unable to play will make him feel balanced. Even if George ends up useless, I'll take care of him. So that was it. My dream, my life, my future. In his eyes, all of it was nothing more than a tool to soothe Makoto's heart. And after that, I began to fear him. I heard you're teaching music now, Diego said suddenly. I froze, then nodded. I only teach beginners. Little kids. Simple melodies don't need a ring finger or pinky to move. And that's the only reason I dared touch a piano again. I never planned to return to the stage. I'd never risk upsetting Makoto like that. I only wanted a job, something steady enough to raise my daughter. The doctor had said it plainly. The damage was permanent. I would never play well again, not in this lifetime. So even knowing that, you're still not going to allow it? He looked stunned, scrambling for words. George, that's not what I meant. But I couldn't hear another syllable. The old fury, the anger of a life torn apart, surged back like a storm I'd spent years trying to outrun. I couldn't lose this fragile piece just because Makoto might disapprove. So I lifted my trembling hand, showing him those stiff, unresponsive fingers. See? I can't play. I really can't. I'd already returned everything the Tang family ever gave me. If you don't believe me, go on. Try bending them yourself. They don't move. My voice cracked as I said, I was your brother for years. Can't you let me live my own life now? He panicked, grabbing my shoulders as I shook, whispering, George, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. This time I'll protect you. Trust me. Trust your brother. But how could I? I'd fought so hard to rebuild a life from ashes. A man named Luis had died so Emma and I could go on living. I pushed Diego away, but after a sleepless night and an empty stomach, I had nothing left. The world tilted, colors drained out, and then darkness. I dreamed of Luis. He stood exactly as he had that morning years ago, in the tiny guesthouse courtyard, dawn light brushing his shoulders, shaving by the water basin. He tilted his head toward me with that familiar grin. That scar across his cheek made him look fierce, but his voice was always warm. Why the long face so early? He teased. I scratched my head, embarrassed. Luis, Emma's surgery cost more than I expected. I'm out of money. About the rent, can I owe you a few months? I'll pay it back as soon as I can. He laughed, loud and carefree. That's it? You look like you're carrying the whole world. Don't worry about rent. Emma needs care, real rest. Stop running around doing extra work. And hey, you've still got your big brother here, don't you? He had started as my landlord, a former police officer forced into early retirement. But over time he became so much more. My brother Emma's uncle, the gentlest soul hidden behind a rough exterior. While everyone else saw Emma's condition as bad luck, he opened his home to us without hesitation. And somehow he saw my sadness before I even realized it myself. George, look, that kite you and Emma made is flying higher today. George, I cooked too many buns. Come eat before they get cold. I thought he was just a fool at first, but unlike Diego, who threw money at problems, Luis taught me with patience. He nudged me toward better habits, celebrated my small victories, let himself be scolded like a child when he drank too much beer in my honor. He gave me confidence and choices. He taught me I could shape my own life. Trust me, George, he used to say. There's no kind of day you can't get through. We weren't related by blood, not even close, but somehow we became a family. And then came the earthquake. Emma had just turned one. Fires ripped through the street. My leg was crushed. I couldn't move. Luis dragged us to safety, and then, without hesitation, ran back into the flames. I remember screaming from the stretcher, begging him not to. He only smiled back. George, I'm a police officer. I can't just stand by when people are trapped. Don't worry, I'll be back. He always kept his promises. Except that one. He saved more than a dozen people. And then one last time he went in and never came out. I don't even have a photo of him. He hated cameras, said a scar made him look bad, but he filled albums with pictures of Emma, as if he knew one day she would need to remember him. I woke to voices, sharp, angry, cutting through the room. We've been searching for him for 4 years, all 3 of us. And now that you found him, you hide it from me? What is that supposed to mean? Willow. Her voice shook with fury. Then Sophia answered, cold and razor-edged. And what right do you have to see him? Willow snapped. We were engaged. He loved me. That gives me more right than either of you. Diego cut in, voice icy enough to freeze the air. Engaged? You're Makoto's fiancé now. My brothers are not merchandise for you to pick and choose. Willow's anger erupted. Diego, do you really think you control everything? If you hadn't demanded George be punished, if you hadn't turned the whole city against him, how would he have been driven away? Her voice broke. Why did I agree to marry Makoto? Because you and Sophia insisted George push him down the stairs. That's why I lost faith. Do you think I don't know Makoto despises me for not being able to have children? He's not even 1/10 the man George is. Sophia let out a bitter, humorless laugh. Oh, please, Sophia shot back, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. You're really putting this all on us? Willow, don't act innocent. You went along with everything. Tell me honestly, didn't you grow tired of my brother back then? Didn't you fall for Makoto? Her tone grew colder. And let's not pretend you didn't notice Makoto was the true Tang heir. Marrying him would have tied you to both the Tang and Sure families. Convenient, wasn't it? And now that George is standing here alive, suddenly you remember how good he was to you. Willow's voice trembled, not with fear, but with fury. And you think you have the right to talk about loyalty? That winter night, when he went to see you, you left him out in the snow until he nearly froze. If it weren't for you, he never would have walked away in despair. So don't you dare act like you cared. Sophia faltered, her confidence slipping for the first time. Then, stubbornly, she forced out, I'm still the one most qualified to be by his side. I'm his brother. Diego snapped, eyes threading through every word. That gives me the right. I'm taking George back to the Tang family. He and his child have nothing to do with either of you. Sophia bristled. Who do you think gave you that right? You're the one who cut him off. I'm his biological sister, his only blood relative. Willow let out a bitter laugh. And you dare throw blood ties in my face? He begged everyone in City A to give you a chance to perform. When you finally made it big, the person you think wasn't George. It was Makoto. Did you even say his name once? He adopted a daughter because I love children. We were the ones who felt like a real family. Enough. A nurse burst in, exasperated. The patient needs rest. Only one immediate family member may stay. I'm his brother. Diego declared instantly. I'm his sister, Sophia added just as fast. The nurse blinked at them, confused. Mr. Tang, Miss Ito, you're his brother and sister? Mr. Wong's? Silence. Thick, awkward. Then Willow stepped forward. I'm his fiancé. The nurse sighed, already done with all of them. Fine, you stay. The rest, out. When I opened my eyes, Willow was really there, sitting by my bed, perfectly still, her eyes red from crying. There was a time I loved her deeply. My childhood sweetheart. My fiancé. Even after she was diagnosed with infertility, I never once thought of leaving. For years ago, when they finally unwrapped the bandages from my hand and discharged me, everyone else stood with Makoto. Only Willow came. Only she refused to accuse me. George, you fool. I'm here. Her voice then had been like a rope thrown to a drowning man, the only thing keeping me from sinking. But that same night, half asleep, I heard her whispering into her phone. Makoto, please do what the doctor says. Otherwise the scar on your wrist will look worse. I know, you've suffered a lot. George just isn't very mature sometimes. I woke instantly, confronted her, demanded answers. At first she tried to soothe me, but then her frustration snapped. George, the world doesn't revolve around you. Why can't you be more like Makoto, someone people actually like? And anyway, if we hadn't been switched at birth, he was supposed to be my fiancé. The words hit harder than any slap. She realized too late what she'd said, reached for me, but I pushed her away. After that, silence grew between us, icy, heavy, impossible to melt. Maybe she was already tired of our quiet, steady love. Maybe the moment Makoto appeared, charming, bright, everything I wasn't. A stone dropped into still water, sending ripples through her heart. And when he framed me for pushing him down the stairs, she stood with him. So did Diego. So did Sophia. Their betrayal became the city's verdict. They called me a fraud, a mountain chicken pretending to be a phoenix, an imposter ungrateful for the Tang family's kindness, jealous enough to harm the real heir. In their eyes, I became the rat everyone wanted to crush. I called Willow again and again, texted, begged her to hear me. She never answered. When I finally cornered her, desperate to understand why she didn't believe me, she looked at me for a long, long moment and whispered, "George, you've always been jealous of Makoto, haven't you?" She told me to apologize. I left furious, slamming the door behind me. Soon after, the engagement changed. The one marrying Willow became Makoto. Blinded by grief and rage, I didn't even recognize the person I became. I couldn't understand why Willow's love had vanished, why Diego distrusted me, why Sophia despised me. It wasn't until much later, after meeting Luis, that I finally understood. I had been drowning in depression all along. Willow sat by me now, eyes red and full of something that looked like regret. "George, I'm here," she whispered. "This time, I won't leave again." She took my cold hand gently in both of hers, her voice shaking. "What happened back then, we misunderstood you. It wasn't your fault. Makoto fell on his own. I was blind, George. I didn't see what a manipulative bastard he really was." I let out a faint, humorless laugh. "So what now, Willow? Things didn't work out with Makoto, and you came running back to your ex-fiancé?" Her eyes widened. "No, that's not it. I'm not marrying him. When you left, I realized it's always been you. I love you, George. I won't let them hurt you again. Let's go back to City A. Let's get married. Give Emma a complete family." The words hit me like ice water. I shot upright. "My daughter, where is she?" She pressed my shoulder gently, trying to calm me. "Don't worry. Emma's next door." I looked into her eyes, those eyes I once adored so much I would have given her my life. "Willow," I said quietly, "Emma is my daughter. Just mine." She hesitated, as if the truth she wanted and the truth she feared collided inside her. "George, I know you resent me." Willow's voice wavered, soft but desperate. "Back then, I was confused. I thought what I felt for Makoto was love, but it was just pity. You're the one I truly love." "I don't love you." The words fell from my mouth like cold stone. She blinked, stunned. "You don't love me? Then why did you adopt a daughter?" "Because I once said I wanted one, right?" "George, stop lying. You loved me. You still do." I actually laughed, a small, hollow sound. "Willow, where do you get that confidence? Why do you think I couldn't live without you? Why do you assume that after 4 years, one word from you could make me kneel at your feet again?" She froze. Her grip faltered. "I didn't adopt Emma because of you," I said slowly. "I adopted her because I wanted a family, someone who was truly mine. And in these 4 years, Willow, I never once thought of you." "That's impossible," she cried, clutching my hand. "I've thought of you every single day. When people said you were dead, I refused to believe it. I searched for you. We loved each other, George. We grew up together. All those memories, all those years, those memories," I cut in sharply, "only make me sick now." Her face drained of color. Tears gathered, spilling over. "Why, you're just angry. You don't mean that. Get out." My voice echoed through the room. "Luis once told me, don't argue with people who've lost their minds." She stared at me, wide-eyed. What did you just say? You were never like this before." She was right. The old George loved her, protected her. worshipped her. But the old George died a long time ago. The commotion must have carried into the hallway. The door burst open. Diego and Sophia rushed inside. "George, come back with me," Diego urged. "I'll protect you this time." "Brother," Sophia pleaded softly, "come with me. We're family, real family. We belong together." I looked at the three of them quietly. The people who once pushed me into the abyss, now stretching out their hands like saviors. "I once had an older brother," I said. Silence. For a moment, something hopeful flickered in Diego's eyes. He told me. I continued that I didn't need to depend on anyone, that I could shine on my own. Diego's face instantly darkened, because he had never said that. Only Luis had. "So stop pretending you're here to save me," I said, my voice steady. "I'm George, and I don't need any of you anymore." In the days that followed, the three of them, Diego, Sophia, and Willow, scoured the city for anyone with the surname Wong. But Luis Wong's story was no mystery. His heroic sacrifice had once made headlines. He was the city's unsung guardian, and every year those he saved still visited his grave. Sophia began appearing outside my apartment complex. I never let her in. She would simply stand downstairs and leave gifts at the door for Emma and me, softening her tone, calling me brother again. She somehow discovered Emma loved kites, and one day left a handmade swallow kite tied neatly to the handle. Diego came too. When I refused to see him, he sent housekeepers, assistants, even tried to buy me a new house. He still believed money could fix everything. It was the same way he tried to care for me years ago. But I refused it all. The most relentless was Willow. She moved into the same neighborhood, showing up every day. At first, she tried to make Emma call her mom. When I finally snapped, she stopped pushing. But she didn't stop coming. She would just watch us from a distance, eyes red, day after day. Soon, Emma's birthday arrived. She had been talking about her 4th birthday party for weeks. Kids from the neighborhood filled our living room with balloons and laughter. And of course, Diego, Sophia, and Willow showed up, uninvited. Since the other families were there, I didn't send them away. Their faces brightened too bright at the small mercy. But right before we served the food, a voice drifted from the doorway. Light, amused, too familiar. Well, am I late to the party? The room froze. I turned. Makoto stood there, immaculate in a custom-tailored suit, holding an expensive gift box like he owned the place. "Uncle, please take off your shoes before coming in," Emma said politely. Makoto raised an eyebrow. "Oh, little girl, your dad's my good brother. The tiles in this tiny place probably don't cost as much as my shoes. I think I'll keep them on, yeah? Right, George?" For years hadn't changed him. Still arrogant. Still venom wrapped in silk. "Makoto," I said, calm and controlled, "it's my daughter's birthday." "I know," he replied cheerfully, plopping down into a chair uninvited. Why else would my brother, sister, and fiancé all be gathered here? The room went dead quiet. Neighbors exchanged uneasy glances. Makoto sighed theatrically, covering his mouth as if shocked. "Oh, they don't know? George Tang, or should I say George Wong. Using a kid to seduce my fiancé, you haven't changed at all. You stole my identity for 20 years, and it still wasn't enough. Now you're using a child to steal my family and my fiancé too? Makoto, are you insane?" Willow shot up from her seat. "Who told you to come? Leave now." "What's wrong?" he sneered. "Afraid I'll expose your little secrets?" Then he stepped forward, voice dripping with arrogance. People like him, in the old days, they'd be dragged into the streets for public shame. Diego shot up, grabbing his arm. "Makoto, enough. Go home. Now. Stop this nonsense." Makoto jerked his arm free, shouting like a man cornered. "I'm not going anywhere. Are you even my brother anymore? He's not even your real sibling. So why are you taking his side? Have you forgotten what I went through?" Sophia stepped forward, trying to soothe him, her voice trembling. "Makoto, please, it's Emma's birthday." "You're all insane," he screamed, cutting her off. "I'm Diego's real brother. I'm Willow's real fiancé. I'm the one who grew up with Sophia for over 20 years. And now the three of you, how dare you betray me? Behind me, Emma flinched violently. She grabbed my shirt with both hands. Trembling, I wrapped my palms over her ears and lifted her into my arms, carrying her away from the chaos. Emma, I said softly, kneeling to her eye level, stay in your room, okay? Daddy will come back soon. She nodded with wide, frightened eyes. Daddy, that uncle is scary. He's bad. I brushed her hair back, gave her a small smile, and closed the door gently. When I returned to the living room, most neighbors had already scattered, leaving behind only the four people who had shaped and ruined my past: Makoto, Diego, Sophia, and Willow. Makoto's usually perfect hair was a wreck, his expression twisted with rage. George, he spat, you think you won, don't you? You think I don't see it? How they remembered you, how they searched for you all these years. I've never seen anyone so shameless. You're an imposter. What right do you have to even breathe the same air as them? Makoto, that's enough. Diego's voice shook with anger. How long are you going to keep this up? Willow snapped. Makoto shoved her away and pointed at Sophia, eyes burning. Sophia, we spent 20 years together. 20. And you've only known him for a few. How could you betray me too? Sophia's face crumpled. Makoto, you can't have everything. You were drunk that night, you admitted it. You broke his hands on purpose, so he could never play again. You faked a suicide attempt for sympathy. And later, you staged that fall down the stairs to frame him. All because you think he stole your life. Makoto shook, his voice cracking. So now it's all my fault? Am I not innocent too? Everything was supposed to be mine. I just took back what belonged to me. What's so wrong about restoring the life I should have had? Then he pointed at me, screaming. And you all still believe he's innocent? He faked his death. He adopted that kid just to get your sympathy. He wants back into the Tang family. He wants to replace me again. Enough! Diego roared. If I had known all my efforts to help you would turn you into this, I'd rather, he stopped. But the words had already landed like a slap. Makoto stared at him in disbelief. What did you just say? He looked at Sophia, then Willow, like a drowning man realizing no one was reaching out for him. So that's it. You all feel the same. You think I should have stayed lost, that I never should have come back. His voice cracked into broken muttering. I stepped forward. There had been countless times when I had bowed my head, when everyone told me, George, what you have was never yours. Makoto suffered, so you must yield. But this time they stood behind me, and in their eyes there was fear for me. George, Diego said quietly, take Em and go. I'll handle Makoto. I shook my head. Then I walked toward Makoto, each step cutting through years of guilt and shadow. This had to end. I raised my fist. Bang. Makoto froze, clutching his cheek, stunned. You actually hit me. I met his eyes calmly. Makoto, the only reason I ever tolerated your cruelty was because for 20 years I lived under your name. When I learned how hard your real family had it, I felt guilty. I thought I stole your life. I pointed to the others. But 4 years ago, I gave everything back. You took my hands. I took your name. We're even. They, Diego, Sophia, Willow, they were always yours. I never wanted them. Then my voice hardened. But today you came into my home. You terrified my daughter. I stepped closer. I raised my arm and struck him again, hard. I will never forgive. Blood gathered at the corner of his mouth. These 2 hits, I said evenly, are from my daughter. I turned away. Whatever war exists between the 4 of you, I want no part of it. But if you ever hurt her again, my voice dropped to a low, steady threat. I'll fight you to the death. Makoto stared at me, stunned, before pointing frantically at the others. Did you see that? He hit me, right in front of you. This is who he really is. And you still care about him? You still like him? Silence. Not a single word from the people who used to defend him blindly. You idiots! Makoto screamed, face contorting. Can't you see? This is the real George. but no one answered. And for the first time in his life, Makoto was truly alone. "You'll regret this." Makoto shouted, and then in his fury he spun toward the door, but his foot missed a step. There was a sickening thud, then the hollow crash of a body rolling down the entire staircase. A long, broken groan rose from below, but this time not one of them moved. Diego, Sophia, Willow, they all just stood there frozen, their eyes not on Makoto but on me. I exhaled slowly. "He's hurt. You should go check on him." Still, none of them budged. Finally, Willow's voice cracked through the silence. "George, we didn't know he would show up today." Sophia echoed softly, guilty and small. "We truly didn't know. It's fine," I said. Actually, it wasn't fine, but it made what I needed to say much easier. Willow's face drained of color. She reached toward me like someone begging the tide not to pull away. "George, please don't say it." But the moment she spoke, I knew there was no turning back. I looked at the three of them, steady and unshaken. I, George Wong, no longer have a Tang family brother, an Ito family sister, or a Liu family fiancé. My life now is good, better than it ever was before. I don't need your pity. I don't need your redemption. Whatever love or guilt brought you back into my life, it only disturbs my peace. I took a breath. My voice did not waver. The only family I have in this world is my daughter Emma and my brother Luis. Diego swallowed hard, stepping forward. "But, George, Luis is gone. Wouldn't he want you to have help? You're raising a child alone. You shouldn't have to struggle." I shook my head. "You're wrong. What Luis taught me was independence. And I'm not struggling. I'm freer, stronger, and happier than I've ever been." Sophia burst into tears. "But we finally found you," she cried. "And now you don't want us anymore." I looked out the window. The sky outside was clear and endless, a peaceful blue I hadn't seen in years. "Yes," I said quietly. "This time, it's me who doesn't want you." I thought they understood. I thought that moment was enough. But the three of them kept coming back anyway. Day after day, knocking on my door, begging me to reconsider, to return to City A, to be family again. Makoto didn't show up. He'd actually broken his leg in the fall. So the neighbors gossiped endlessly, and I finally made up my mind I would leave the city. When I handed in my resignation, the principal looked genuinely heartbroken. "Mr. Wong, parents love you. Your evaluations are the highest we've ever had. Are you sure you want to leave?" I nodded. "I'm already grateful you hired me, disabled hand and all. But for my daughter's sake, we need a fresh start." He thought for a moment, then his eyes lit up. "What about City C? It's by the sea. Nice climate. Great for children. I'm opening a branch there. Would you like to be head of teaching?" I accepted. The day before we left, Diego came by. "George, you don't have to move just to avoid us." I smiled softly. "Then can you stop showing up at my door?" He froze. After a long, painful silence, he finally whispered, "If your brother still wants to do something for you, would you accept it?" Holding Emma's hand, I shook my head gently. "Thank you, Mr. Tang, but there's no need." Emma looked up. "Uncle, do you need something?" "We're going to see my Uncle Luis." Diego's expression tightened instantly. "Yes, we were going to Luis's grave. I brought beer, sat with him for a long time, and told him everything. That Emma was growing well, that I had a new job, that I was becoming someone better than he'd left behind. He would have been proud. And now, somewhere beyond all pain, he could finally drink without worrying about his illness. The next morning, I took Emma to the airport. On the screen above the departure hall was an interview with Sophia. "I want to thank my real brother," she said softly. "When I was nobody, he was the only one who believed in me. I didn't repay him the way I should have. I want to tell him, I'm sorry." Emma tugged on my sleeve. "Daddy, that lady looks a little like you." I ruffled her hair. "Come on," I whispered. "It's time to board." City C slowly put my life back into rhythm. I worked hard. I lived simply. 6 months later, I was promoted to principal of the new branch. Students loved me. They uploaded videos of my classes online. and soon old recordings of my piano performances resurfaced. Then someone discovered the truth. Makoto had been the one who crushed my hands. The internet turned on him instantly. His name became synonymous with cruelty. He was cast out of City A's social circle. And even the Tang family stocks took a massive hit. Someone eventually dug up Sophia's old apology video. And before long, the entire internet realized that I was the older brother she had mentioned. Overnight, social media exploded. Sympathy, outrage, curiosity, everything mixed together in one chaotic storm. Under that pressure, Sophia announced that she would be stepping away from the music scene for a while, citing severe emotional distress and an unstable mental state. A year passed. By then, I had taken a group of my students to an international music competition. Watching them perform under the bright lights and hearing our school's name announced among the winners, it felt surreal. People began calling me a rising music mentor, a title I never imagined I'd earn. It was true. My injury no longer allowed me to perform complex pieces. But it didn't matter. I had found another stage to shine on. Willow still appeared from time to time. She never approached us directly. Instead, she would quietly leave toys or snacks for Emma on the doorstep, then stand far away, watching us like a visitor who didn't dare cross the threshold. It frustrated me. But since she no longer tried to disrupt our lives, I let her be. She was like a shadow from an old chapter, present but powerless. One afternoon, I ran into Diego again. He looked different, tired, older, as if years had passed in just months. Without a word, he placed a small key in my palm. "I heard you've been saving money to restore Luis's old courtyard," he said with a weary smile. "You don't have to anymore. I already rebuilt it." Before I could speak, he stopped me. "Don't refuse it. Just take it as your brother try to make things right. You always loved that place. Go whenever you want." His voice shook slightly before he continued. "And the arranged marriage between the Liu and Tang families has been officially canceled. Willow didn't get any shares. Her brother never cared about her, and she can't stand on her own. Life is probably going to be very hard for her from now on." He paused, then added somberly, "As for Makoto, he's been sent away. He's not fit to live independently. He'll need long-term psychiatric treatment." He looked at me then, really looked, as if trying to read my heart. "I also restored your old room," he said softly. "Exactly the way it used to be. If you ever want to come home, that room will always be waiting." I exhaled slowly and shook my head. "Thank you," I said quietly. "But I'm not returning to the Tang family." He didn't pressure me. He simply nodded, whispering almost to himself, "I'll keep that room prepared no matter what." When summer vacation arrived, I took Emma back to the southern city and headed straight for Luis's courtyard. Standing in front of the newly rebuilt gate, I felt as though time itself had wrapped around me and pulled me 5 years into the past. Back to one of our ordinary mornings. Under the old jujube tree, Luis had once held up a hand-painted kite, his grin bright and full of life. "Try it, George," he had said enthusiastically. "As long as you believe it can fly, it will soar." And now, I truly had soared. Holding Emma in my arms, I pushed the gate open with trembling fingers. The warm breeze drifted past us, carrying memories that hurt and healed at the same time. "Brother," I whispered into the quiet courtyard, "I'm home."